Good morning, kids. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Conniex about what if all the eventual Digimon had death evolutions. Let's hop in and check it out.
Sponsoring this video. Okay, this year on the Spooktober Spectacular, we've talked Demon Lords, we've talked Dark Digivolution, but a Digivolution concept that I've never explored outside of just talking about it in videos is Death Digivolution. Similar to Death X Digivolution, which primarily affects the Dorumon family with things like Death X Dorugamon, but specifically has referred to historically Ponchomon. It's a really weird type of Digivolution where a Digimon dies and appears to become an undead or otherwise ghostly type of Digimon. As far as I know, it's only ever actually happened to Togemon. And so the rules of what is and aren't Death Digivolution are a little murky. In my mind, this is how it breaks down. Death Digivolution is different to Dark Digivolution as it remains at the same level and is more similar to a Slide Digivolution. Your Digimon dies, but rather than turning into a Digi-Egg or a grave, its data instead recombines into a new form. Ponchomon also resembles Togemon. While Ponchomon is an armor level, it's basically treated as a champion level, like we saw in Digimon Adventure 2020 that I talked about last month. So my criteria for Death Digivolution is, should resemble the original champion, could work as an armor Digimon, and has to be undead, ghostly, or otherwise creepy to indicate that the Digimon has died. But Togemon shouldn't die alone, so on today's video with some wonderful artists, we're going to be Death Digivolving all the remaining Adventure Digimon partners.
Alright, let's see who it is.
Hey, Future Khan here. Let me be cringe for a second and say if you like Digimon videos, especially custom art Digimon videos, please make sure you subscribe. I asked this a couple of videos ago and it increased my sub count dramatically, so unfortunately when YouTubers ask for subs, it actually worked.
Like, subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell.
So please do subscribe, stick around, make my dream come true of hitting 60,000 subscribers by the time I turn 30 next month. Cheers! The crest of sincerity and love are often linked, so moving on from Ponchomon and Togemon, we're gonna begin with our Birdramon Death Digivolution, who I recruited Rubix for, and we killed our darlings, transforming Birdramon into Buzzardramon. Buzzardramon is a carrion bird, feasting on the flesh of any fallen Digimon or human it encounters. The way this embodies Death Digivolution to me is that it very much resembles Birdramon, but also adds a new element. Ponchomon, of course, added an undead element, but also, of course, a poncho that resembles Patamon, a sombrero, and maracas. And Buzzardramon adds the carrion bird, the buzzard element, as well as the much darker flames, reminiscent of things like Skull Meramon. I also asked Rubix to include some metal parts, which they did, which means Buzzardramon could still technically act as a love armor Digivolution, just like Ponchomon acts as a sincerity armor Digivolution. Buzzardramon could be similar to Sethmon. Sethmon is almost the spurned lover of the Digi-Egg of love, and so Buzzardramon could be the love armor Digimon symbolic of when love dies. For all of these Death Digivolutions, I also wanted to connect them back to their original Alive Digimon Adventure version, so I'm giving them all moves themed around that. And as Birdramon normally has Meteor Wing, Buzzardramon instead has Terror Wing, using its wings to scorch its opponents and feast on their barbecued flesh. Then we move to Ikakumon. I had very few ideas for Ikakumon, which is why I was so happy that Soru came aboard and found something really cool to do with it. And Ikakumon sadly drowned in the net ocean of the digital world, but something inside it refused to die, or at least not fully. So despite succumbing to the waves, Ikakumon Death Digivolved to Abyssmon. I love the way that Soru wound the kelp or seaweed around
shit, look at the horn! It's been snapped off! Ho ho ho!
The material it was entombed in when it died now becoming part of its very data, obscuring what is perhaps a hideous face underneath now with that blue eye that once belonged to Ikakumon, now belonging to Abyssmon. As far as acting like a reliability armor, the traits of Marimon adds is that it is a vehicle, an aquatic vehicle specifically, and I mean you could definitely ride Abyssmon into battle if it didn't drown you in the process. Ikakumon has a Harpoon Vulcan or Harpoon Torpedo, and Abyssmon has Harpoon Destruction, an incredibly powerful ranged attack, which also contains an acid spray that ejects when it hits its target, creating explosive and acidic damage.
Now that's how you do it.
Nothing more powerful.
Hold on, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
And the crest that complements reliability in Digimon Adventure 02 is
Knowledge.
And that's why we'll go to Kabuterimon's Death Digivolution designed by Alltrade. The once proud bug Digimon, with something demonic seeping out from under it, becoming Huskmon.
Whoa.
We were actually initially inspired by Shedinja, the shed skin Pokemon, and the idea of cicadas and in general insect molting. Leaving behind these kind of ghostly exoskeletons was just such a great point of inspiration for me in Alltrade. So the main thing we struggled with was folding in the drill aesthetic that is in a lot of the Digi-Egg of Knowledge armors. The only other trait they share, of course, being bug-related, which Kabuterimon already is. So instead of drills, Alltrade thought about tendrils. Tentacles, indicating that while the Kabuterimon body is still there, something even worse is under the surface. When Kabuterimon died, it unleashed an absolute abomination upon the digital world, forcing their way out of the molted skin. Its signature move in the dub would be a rotting shocker instead of an electro shocker. I did consider electro rotter, you know, like rotting, but in the UK a rotter is like, oh, he's a bit of a rotter, and it didn't sound good. And in Japanese, perhaps it would be a necrotic blaster to kind of match up with a mega blaster. Next up is Gatomon, and we have a new artist on the videos, Next Digimon. Super glad to bring in some new blood for the Spooktober Spectacular, and I think you're gonna like what Next Digimon's been cooking up. So, unfortunately, Gatomon must cross the veil, death digivolving to Shirodmon. Sunday944 did suggest the name Cat Davamon, you know, Cat Cadaver, but I think Cat Daver is definitely more of a Pokemon name than a Digimon name, though it is funny. Instead, I chose Shirodmon. Shiro meaning white in Japanese, and road because, well, unfortunately, this poor Gatomon has become roadkill. And yes, that made me as emotional to
it had tile tracks on it.
Say out loud as it probably did some of you. Shirodmon
it has tile tracks. It was ran over. Damn.
Has been treated poorly in life, but it will not let death be the end of its energy. The Shiro part of its name also ties into its connection to the crest of light, and you can indeed see that last light defiantly bursting out from Shirodmon's eyes. I also connected this back to Cat's eyes, the things on the road, that are retro-reflective studs that use a car's headlights to help a driver detect the edge of the road, center line, and the right-hand edge of a motorway. And this light motif helps tie it into the crest of light, meaning it could be a light armor Digivolution, though I'm not quite sure who for, other than Gatomon, unfortunately. Next, Digimon and I also discussed the idea of the body of Shirodmon being stitched together, which is why you can see some of this slightly more pinky flesh and the more zombified green flesh. It's truly an abomination, something that was never supposed to happen to the light. Keeping on brand, Shirodmon has a frightening claw instead of a lightning claw, or if you're a sub-purist, a Necro Punch to match Gatomon's Neko Punch. And what's Gatomon without Angemon? And this time Adriano Davino has joined, a new artist again to the main channel, though Adriano did let me use some of his art for a short I made a good while ago, giving the rest of the Adventure Mega Level Digimon their own DNA Digivolution similar to Omnimon. But it's great to have Adriano on properly for a video, and Adriano actually has a Patreon where he does a ton of custom art Digimon with different tiers and rewards, so make sure you go check that out. And Adriano took Angemon, cast his mortality aside, resulting in Shinumon. The name Shinumon comes from Shin, or Shinu, death in Japanese. And Adriano based it on some representations of Shinigami, the gods of death, in real life and across various media. There are depictions of Shinigami wearing Oni masks, and one of the main Oni in Digimon is Ogamon. So Shinumon has an Ogamon mask, not an Ogapon mask. And its katana and lower kimono or clothing part were inspired by Bleach's Shinigami. I've never seen the anime Bleach, will I? Who knows? But Adriano liked it. And an anime I do like is Death Note. And the Shinigami Ryuk is what inspired Shinumon's spiky hair and black wings. Shinumon is just a fantastic death digivolution for Angemon.
Hold on, now tell me, does he like apples? If you know the anime, you know the pun.
Think from its black necrotic flesh to its more beastly demeanor, and that's something I do like, actually. Tying it into the Crest of Hope, and specifically the Digi-Egg of Hope, and the way that Pegasusmon is much more of a beast in comparison to Angemon. Shinumon's kind of riding the line between the two, a beastly humanoid. Instead of a Hand of Fate, it was very easy for me to give Shinumon a Hand of Hate, or in Japanese, Angemon's Heaven's Knuckle would be corrupted to the Underworld Knuckle.
There you go. Oh, come on, another ad? We'll be right back. And we're back.
Brings us to our last two, Garurumon and Greymon, drawn, of course, I had to bring him in again, by Weirdomon. And Weirdomon kicked us off with our Garurumon Death Digivolution. Whilst on a far too long expedition through frozen tundra, Garurumon somehow succumbed to the icy winds and died, becoming Gilgamon. This name comes from one of the earliest known references to black wolves in human literature that occurs in the Babylonian epic Gilgamesh, in which the titular character rejects the sexual advances of the goddess Ishtar, going a little bit spicy on the Spooktober Spectacular, reminding her that she had transformed a previous lover, a shepherd, into a wolf, thus turning him into the very animal that his flocks must be protected against. So Garurumon Death Digivolving is similar to that wolf-like transformation, a protective wolf turning to a wolf that has to literally be muzzled with belts to stop it attacking those that it once loved. I'm also really fond of the way that Weirdomon incorporated some of the kind of key tenets of the Digi-Egg of Friendship, those being spikes, ice, and electricity themes, into Gilgamon. Those ice crystals, the icy tundra that killed Garurumon in this instance, bursting forth from within it, its frozen blood perhaps creating icy spikes. It's familiar to Garurumon, but also something completely different. And of course it would have its shrieking blaster instead of a howling blaster, or if you're more of a Foxfire fan, that naturally would become Hellfire. And finally is Greymon. And Weirdomon had quite the task here, taking Greymon, Death Digivolving it to the same level, and not creating something that just looked like Skull Greymon, a Dark Digivolution. And I think Weirdomon absolutely nailed it with what I am calling Thanatosmon. Thanatos is the ancient Greek personification of death, and I figured with the grey in Greymon supposedly referring to old or ancient, an ancient Greek personification of death made sense for the name. And Weirdomon really delivered on multiple elements here. First of all, this does not feel like Skull Greymon. Instead of just reverting to bone, Weirdomon has burnt and bubbled Greymon's flesh in Thanatosmon. Its Digicore being like the molten core of the earth, meaning that the flesh on this Digimon is a mixture of burnt remains and actual fire, which makes it similar to Courage Armored Digivolutions like Lynxmon and Salamandermon. In addition to this, the red eyes bursting forth are just so iconic and does set itself apart from basically any other Death Digimon or indeed Digimon. But it would still work as a Skull Greymon Prevo, it being kind of like a champion armor level and Skull Greymon being an ultimate or perfect level. That flesh being completely seared away and revealing a Skull Greymon underneath. Absolutely inspired work by Weirdomon here, I think. As for attacks, well, if Greymon has Nova Blast in the dub, Thanatosmon would have a Noxious Blast. Noxious meaning harmful, poisonous, or very unpleasant. And in Japan, instead of a Mega Flame, it would have a Megiddo Flame. Listen, I don't know if two different Digimon are allowed to share the same attack, but I'm doing it because it sounds like Mega Flame. Shut up.
Why not?
Yes, my friends, that is it. All of our Death Digivolved Digimon. These are some truly wonderful pieces, and I really think the artists...
Alright, so now that we got all of them together, I'll go ahead and pick my top 3. Number 1 is going to have to be Huskmon. Number 2 is going to have to be Thanatosmon. And number 3, I'll give it to Shinoramon. That's it. And oh my god, I'm so sorry. Shinoramon. That's what I was trying to say. So yeah, 1, 2, 3. Those are my top 3. Let me know down in the comments below which are your favorite 3.
Nailed that key distinction between Dark and Death Digivolution here. These all would go side by side with Ponchomon, absolutely no dramas. Make sure you go check out all the artists on X or their relevant social media and YouTube channels, maybe get a commission from them. Go check out Adriano Divino's Patreon. I know you're going to love some of the rewards he's got there over on his Patreon. And speaking of pledging money, if you want to become a channel member to this channel, like my Sovereign, ZDK14, Jmon, and Mickey D343, you absolutely can and help fund more custom art. But sponsors also help custom art videos happen. That's why I want to thank today's sponsor, Whatnot. Make sure you do use my...
Let's see, I think that's just the end of it now, so yeah, that's what we're going to call a stop to today's video. I hope you'll enjoy this. So remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and I'll see all you folks... Oh wait, link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all you folks next time when we flick on. Peace out.